check.
All right. So we all know that Beit HaMikdash is important. Everybody agrees with that. And the main focal point of Beit HaMikdash, besides Hashraat Shechina, besides the Shechina dwelling down, and actually see the presence of God in our world directly, of course, is the whole issue of korbanot, bringing korbanot. We all do averot, some smaller, some bigger, and so on and so forth. And the korbanot is a certain way to give us kapara, atonement, for what we did. Of course, it needs the process of tshuva for that. Just bringing a korban without the tshuva, that's like nothing. It's like making a big barbecue, heavily barbecue. The whole concept is tshuva. But if you look at the Zohar in Sefer Bereshit, Daf Kuf Amud Aleph, says the following: Ki yoter mo'il, it's more beneficial, ha'esek b'Torah, to learn Torah, mikol ha'korbanot, from all the sacrifices in which they bring. Learning Torah is much more preferred. It says shene'emar, because it says in Sefer Vayikra, Zot HaTorah le'olah lemincha, etc., etc. This is the Torah for Olah, Korban Mincha, and so on and so forth. And in Sefer Mu'ulefet Sapirim of Arav Al-Ghazi, he says, "V'davar tzarich chiyun." We need to understand exactly what does it mean. How is it possible that the Torah is more important than all the korbanot, or more beneficial than all the korbanot? And it says like this. It says, the words of the Zohar are coming here to actually, the pure, like the heavens, to clarify something to us. What? Why? Because it says, Divrei Torah, the words of Torah, le'olam einam betelim. They would last and live forever. And whatever the Torah says, it's not only for way back then, but every single day between now until the end of time. It says, Mashe'enken bekorban, which is not the case regarding bringing a sacrifice, shenitla besibat kiyum HaMikdash, that it depended on the fact whether we have Beit HaMikdash or we don't have a Beit HaMikdash. Because if we don't have Beit HaMikdash, guess what? If we don't have the makom of the Mizbeach, we can't bring korban. It has to be in a specific place, which is the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount, which is the Jewish Temple Mount, not the Arab. On the Temple Mount. And in a special place on the Temple Mount, which is where the altar is being brought. If you don't have it, you can't bring the korban. V'chen adka gavra chaya sibat haTorah lakorban. And this is why the Torah is more superior to korban. Heyot akravat hakorban lo ta'amideu betach. There is no guarantee that bringing a korban, it's going to fix you. I mean, we did see it that during the time of Beit HaMikdash, the second Beit HaMikdash, when things weren't so great, I guess they didn't have care organizations at the time. So people would sin. They say, okay, we'll bring a korban, it's all going to be good, it's fine. They thought just bringing the korban will do it, and they never changed their ways. So bringing a korban does not make you into a better person. Bringing a korban does not change your behavior, your bad habits, your behavior, and so on and so forth. It doesn't going to make you, not to sin anymore. V'chen ba'avat olah. If you bring an olah, right, you bring a korban olah, lo niftar adayin ba'avat chatat v'chadome. If you're mechuyav chatat and you're bringing olah, one does not exempt the other. Each one is separate, and we know we have to bring shlamim, we have to bring korban re'iyah, korban chagiga, and so on and so forth. Korban Pesach, and you have to bring korban re'iyah, something else. You have to bring, so when Pesach, you have to bring 3 korbanot, right? You have to bring korban olot shlamim, you have to bring chagiga, you have to bring korban Pesach. One has nothing to do with the other. So much that the Mishnah even tells us what's the price, how much the minimum amount that you have to bring for those korbanot. Which kind of, in a way, overrides the whole sale business. If you have, you can't run a sale on korbanot. There's a minimum amount you have to pay. It says, and if you want to look further, look at the Magen Avraham in Siman Aleph. Ma she'en ken or HaTorah. Regarding the light of the Torah, it is not like that. Ba'osko ba te'ila nera al rosho. When you are learning Torah, there's a crown of glory being placed on your head. And why does it do that? Lehatzilo mikol avon levilti chato od. The Torah itself becomes like a shield, like an invisible shield that helps protect you from the lightning on Broadway, to protect you from actually doing more sins and more averot. The Torah itself does that. So imagine this light. If you watch science fiction movies, there's like this shield around you that bounces off, that would not allow you to do chet. In other words, you only do chet when you allow. When it says, En adam choteh, ela im ken nichnesa baruach shtut. Somewhere along the line, in his protection, in his spiritual Kevlar vest, there was an opening. And through this opening, ruach shtut, is a certain spiritual entity of stupidity penetrating into him identity de avera. So the more you learn Torah, the more complete your shield is. The more complete your shield is, the less you'll do averot. And it says, V'cheteita besotah. That's how it says in Masechet Sotah, Daf Chuf Aleph, Amud Aleph, right? Torah magina umetzil, av be'idna delelo asik ba. Even if you don't actually learn Torah at the moment, since you learn Torah, it will protect you. That's why I said to you, if you want to go to college, a lot of people go to college and they're religious people, they don't make it. They don't make it in terms of that they go out of faith. Some idiot professor teaches philosophy, messes up with their brains, goodbye and good luck. Or they see some nice chicks or some girls, and goodbye and good luck. However, if I'm learning Torah, and I understand that I need to have parnasa, so I'm going to go to college, and when I get some degree or something, so I could work, so I can continue learning. So while I'm learning Torah, I'm creating this shield around me. Now that I'm going to college, it's continuing with me. Even when I'm not learning Torah, I have the protection of the Torah. It has like a long-term battery that keeps charging this creates this like a shield around me. And if you do so, and you have something to protect you, you're not going to do averot. And when you're not going to do averot, guess what? You don't need to bring korbanot, because you didn't do anything wrong. As it says in the end of Masechet Menachot, Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, Ela Amar Rava, Zot HaTorah, right, and so on and so forth, right? Kol ha'osek b'Torah, anybody who learns Torah, Eino tzarich le'olah u'lechatat. As we said before, Zot HaTorah, le'olah u'lechatat. He says, Eino tzarich. You don't need korban olah, you don't need to bring chatat, you don't need to bring korban oleh v'yored, nothing. הכוונה כעניין הוא דאין צריך לכל הקורבנות, כי אם בעוסקו רק בעניין אחד, כבר נתחפר בכולנו, מגינה עליו. So let's say, for example, you're learning הלכות בשר בחלב. Right? How is this going to protect me? We says, if a person did an averah, there's different averot. There's chatat, there is olah, there's korban oleh v'yored, there's minchat solet, each one for a different type of an averah. You have to bring a par, you have to bring pigeons, you have to, different korbanot. But when you learn Torah, it doesn't make a difference what you learn. As long as you learn Torah, that creates the shield around you that protects you from the averot. Because if you did an averah, you have to bring a certain korban chatat, korban this, korban that. But the Torah protects you. It doesn't make a difference what you learn from the Torah. So therefore you could learn again. You could learn stam halacha or mishnah. That has nothing to do with anything. And basically what you learn, you're creating layers upon layers upon layers of protection. Now you know that the best effective thing, like let's say for example, if I want to create a protective shield from a projectile on me, What would be the best thing? So people say, I'm going to take a plate that big, I'm going to put it on me, it's not going to penetrate. But then there's going to be something that would penetrate. What do I need to create? I need to create microscopic layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. So what will happen, every time the projectile goes from one layer to another, and there's space, it loses energy, it loses momentum, then it stops it. When I learn Torah, and continuously learn Torah, I'm building layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of protection, and therefore my protective gear or shield around it becomes more effective. Now, it doesn't make a difference what you learn in the Torah. There's nothing that I have to specifically learn this topic to protect myself from this avera or that avera. I just need to learn Torah. And it says, "V'kvar nitkaper b'chulon u'magina u'matzila." The atonement for your, or the antidote for your sins, it's there just by learning Torah, which is protects you and also gives you an atonement. And if you want to look, and then there's further that he brings further in terms of learning the Torah. Now, that maybe when having understanding that, we need to, maybe it will be clear, the Maaseh Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, when after the destruction of the temple, he pleaded for the Romans to allow them to learn Torah in where?
Yavne.
Kerem beYavne, in Yavne. In some kind of a vineyard in Yavne. Yavne was just a big deal. It was just like a village somewhere on the Mediterranean shore or something like that. A vineyard, Kerem. They were sitting there. I mean, they said, go ahead, Lamalo, go ahead. I mean, so the question is, B'no shel Olam, you had a chance they would listen to you. Couldn't you ask him to, listen, can we just semi-rebuild the Beit HaMikdash? The answer is, he knew exactly what the Zohar is saying here. Ultimately, Torah is more important than everything else. שיבנה בית המקדש לכפר לנו מכל עוונותינו. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not leave us empty. He gave us something much more powerful than the Beit HaMikdash, and that's learning Torah. So therefore, for me, people who scream, "Oh, I want Mashiach now, I want to build," we all want Mashiach now. We all want Beit HaMikdash now. But how does this sit alone with the fact that you're not learning Torah on a regular basis? If you really want to have Mashiach now, you really want to make this world into a better place for all humankind, if you want to see God's glory built, hey, sit down and learn Torah. Stop making excuses, because it's all about you. It's all up to you. Don't make excuses, and don't put the blame on anything. It's all on you. Since it's on you, you can fix it. And Rabbatai, it's time to learn Torah. We just received the Torah on Shavuot. We have about 3.5 months to Rosh Hashanah. Time is ticking. Time is after us, not waiting for us. It's time to shape up before Rosh Hashanah, so we'll be able to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we, Be'ezrat Hashem, be married to see Beit HaMikdash nivna b'mera b'yamenu. But before that, we have to build and strengthen our yeshivot. Have a wonderful day.